Not all kindness comes from weakness. Some of the purest hearts are also the firmest when necessary. There are people who welcome with their gaze, heal with their presence, and carry peace wherever they go. But those same people, when awakened, carry a strength that cannot be ignored. These people are not here by chance. They have been set apart, prepared, chosen. From an early age, they learn to love without expecting anything in return, to listen more than they speak, to console even without knowing how. But they also learn to rise with courage when the limit is crossed. The chosen ones live in that rare balance between tenderness and authority. They prefer peace, but they know war. They do not live to fight, but they know very well when it is time to take a stand. And when they do, it is not in the flesh, it is in the spirit. Have you noticed this in yourself? A kindness that seems natural but hides a strength that no one understands. A patience that endures much but when it runs out, changes the entire environment. That is not weakness. That is preparation. It is heaven working within. The world has become accustomed to seeing the gentle as fragile. But the chosen ones are living proof that meekness is not the absence of strength. It is control of it. And when that strength is released under divine command, it brings down walls without raising a voice. Perhaps you have wondered why you endure so much, why you forgive easily, but when you decide to draw away, you do not go back, or why your presence calms some and disturbs others. All of this has an answer, and this video will show you why. Today you will understand why heaven entrusted you with this balance between a pure heart and a warrior spirit. You will discover the signs that show that your kindness does not make you vulnerable. It makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. If this theme has already touched your spirit, follow this channel right now. Here you will not only recognize yourself, you will be activated to firmly live out the purpose that God has planted in you. 1. They heal with presence, but reveal with truth. There are people whose presence already changes the environment. They don't need to say much. They simply arrive, and everything seems to find balance. This is one of the hallmarks of the chosen ones. They carry healing in their gestures, in their eyes, in their silence. There is something in the atmosphere when they are around, something that aligns what was chaotic. The chosen ones are not just kind. They have a spirit that conveys safety. With a word, they calm. With a hug, they restore. Often they do not even know the impact they have, but they do. Where there is pain, they bring relief. Where there is confusion, they emit peace. But don't think that this presence is just comfort. It also reveals. Because those who carry light expose what is hidden, not out of judgment, but by nature. The truth that resides in them denounces what is not aligned. What seemed invisible in the presence of a chosen one becomes clear. This can cause discomfort in some people. The same presence that heals also confronts. Not with harsh words, but by the reflection it causes. Being near someone who lives in truth bothers those who are trying to hide. The light does not attack, but it shows. Jesus did exactly this. He healed with compassion, but he also exposed deceit with firmness. He touched the sick with mercy, but dismantled masks with a simple look. The same touch that freed also revealed what was hidden. It was love with discernment. The chosen ones have this same combination. They do not need to accuse anyone. Just by being present, the environment begins to change. What was pretense loses strength. What was a lie starts to reveal itself. This happens because their spirit carries truth. Some are attracted to this, others repelled. Those who seek healing draw near. Those who prefer to remain in disguises feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. The chosen one does not force, they simply are. Their mission is not to please, but to carry the right presence, even when it confronts. Your kindness is real, but your light is also real. And those who carry light need to understand, healing and revealing are part of the same purpose. 2. They wait in silence, but know when to leave. The chosen ones do not live impulsively. They observe, they feel the environment, they listen more than they speak. Even when something bothers them, they do not react immediately. They prefer to pray in silence rather than accuse with words. This calmness is not weakness, it is discernment. They know that some battles are won by waiting. That is why they often endure what others would not. Not because they like to suffer, but because they trust in God's timing. They wait for clarity. They wait for peace. But they do not allow themselves to be trapped where there is no longer purpose. The silence of a chosen one carries weight. When they are quiet, something is being discerned within. And when they perceive that the environment does not change, that boundaries are being crossed, they simply withdraw, without fighting, without noise. They understand that leaving can also be an answer. Jesus showed us this. Before Herod, he remained silent. He knew that heart did not want to hear, and his silence spoke louder than any word. The chosen ones do the same. When they understand that they have given all they could, they depart with peace. Their presence transforms, but their absence also teaches. When a chosen one leaves, the empty space reveals the value they carried. Because those who are full of God do not need to prove anything. They simply move on, and let heaven itself confirm their decision. 3. Their reaction does not come from anger, but from justice. The chosen ones endure much more than they show. They have patience, mercy, and compassion, but there is a point where their spirit rises. And when that happens, it is not for revenge or pride. It is because the justice of God begins to burn within them. They do not move out of anger. They are not impulsive. They are guided by a sense of zeal that comes from above. When they speak, their words carry weight. When they act, it is because they have already discerned in their spirit that it is the right moment. And heaven backs their stance. Jesus in the temple is a clear example. He did not react out of human anger. He acted out of zeal. By driving out the money changers, he was defending the holy place. His firmness was not imbalance. It was holiness in motion. The chosen ones carry this same type of reaction. Strong but clean. They avoid unnecessary confrontations. But when God prompts them, they do not hold their silence. Their actions are firm, but their hearts are at peace. There is no hatred, only conviction. There is no desire for revenge, only a desire to see what is right restored. What many see as sudden change is actually a decision matured in silence. The chosen ones know when it is time to speak and when it is time to act. And when they rise up, it is because heaven has already authorized them, and that no one can stop. They know how to love deeply, but also to cut with clarity. The chosen ones love deeply. They give of themselves, intercede, and care. When they connect with someone, they go all the way. They pray in silence, feel the pain of others, and carry the weight without complaining. But their love is not blind. It is a love with discernment. And when they realize they are being drained, they know when to stop. They do not give up easily. They endure more than they should. But there comes a moment when the Spirit warns them, here there is no honor, here there is no purpose. And even with a heart full of love, they distance themselves, not out of lack of compassion, but out of obedience to what heaven is saying. Abraham separated from Lot not out of conflict, but out of direction. He knew that the path God had for him required space. The chosen ones understand this. They know that not everyone fits into the next level. And cutting ties sometimes is preserving the purpose. They do not hold grudges. They do not leave hurting or accusing. They leave in peace. And this departure is often the greatest sign of spiritual maturity. Because to love is also to know when to let go. And this requires more strength than many realize. The love of the chosen ones is noble, but it is not permissive. When the heart perceives it is being violated, it firmly closes the door, without shouting, without hatred, but with clarity. Because those who are called to heal cannot remain where they are only being hurt. 5. The intuition of the chosen is spiritual revelation. The chosen ones do not see only with their eyes. They perceive. They feel what is behind the words. They identify heavy environments, confused hearts, hidden intentions. It is not just intuition. It is spiritual discernment. It is as though their spirit is always on alert, picking up what the natural does not show. From an early age, this manifests. They avoid places without knowing exactly why. They sense when a conversation is not sincere, when someone is not trustworthy, when something is wrong, even when everyone says that everything is fine. This perception protects them, guides them, and often distances them before damage occurs. This gift is not born of distrust. It is sensitivity. And spiritual sensitivity is a strong mark of the chosen ones. When the Holy Spirit dwells in someone with purpose, he warns, he signals. And those who are attentive to this inner voice can walk with greater security, even amid chaos. Elisha experienced this. Even far from the battlefield, he knew what the king of Syria was planning against Israel. This is not a gift reserved for ancient prophets. Today, God continues to reveal to his chosen ones what is hidden, because those who carry a mission need vision beyond the natural. This intuition is also key in connections. The chosen ones know when a friendship is divine or when it is a trap. They know when a word comes from God or when it comes from emotion. They know when to continue or when to stop. Because before acting, they feel. And when they feel, they obey. Some may call this an exaggeration. Others will say it is distrust. But time always proves that the Spirit does not lie. Those who walk with God carry an activated radar. And this radar is one of the greatest gifts for those who have a calling too great to miss the way. 6. The silence of these warriors speaks louder than shouts. The chosen ones do not need to raise their voices to be heard. They carry a type of presence that communicates without words. When they become silent, something in the environment changes. Their silence is heavy. It teaches. It reveals. Because when a chosen one chooses silence, it is a sign that the Spirit is saying more than the mouth could express. They do not engage in empty discussions. They do not try to convince those who do not want to listen. They know that not every answer needs to be spoken. Sometimes the absence of reaction says it all. They trust that time and God reveal more than arguments. And when they decide to be silent, it is because they have already discerned enough. This silence is not weakness, it is maturity. They have understood that there are wars that cannot be won with shouting, but with positioning. And nothing is firmer than a silence that comes from conviction. A heart at peace does not need to prove anything. It simply observes, prays, and proceeds with wisdom. Jesus did this frequently. In various situations, when confrontation arose, he chose silence. When he was brought before Herod, he remained silent. He knew that there was no space for revelation there. He knew that silence was also an answer, and sometimes the strongest of all. The chosen ones know this too. When they stop speaking, it is because they have seen everything. When they withdraw without explaining, it is because they have already understood the scenario. Their silence is not giving up. It is direction. It is the way heaven has found to say, this is no longer the place. And ironically, it is in their absence that many perceive the value of those who have remained silent for so long. Because where a chosen one is silent, the environment feels it. Where they withdraw, the emptiness reveals. What was not heard in words is felt in the absence. 7. They trust in God and leave justice with heaven. The chosen ones experience injustices. They are misunderstood, rejected, and accused without reason, and even so they do not retaliate in the same way, not because they do not feel pain, but because they have learned where to deliver that pain. They know that the justice of God is perfect, and that is why they move forward in peace while heaven works. They could defend themselves, they could expose what they know, but they choose the path of trust. They place the situation in God's hands and move on. This attitude is not passivity, it is faith. Faith that he who sees all also takes care of every detail, even those that no one else sees. David is the clearest example of this. Even having the chance to kill Saul, his pursuer, he did not do it. He said, "I will not touch the Lord's anointed." David knew that the throne was a promise, not a forced conquest, and that justice would come from above in the right time. And it did. The chosen ones have that same heart. They endure in silence, trust without seeing, and wait with maturity. And while the world thinks they have lost, heaven is preparing the turnaround, because the God of the chosen never fails. He rewards in public what was endured in secret. Those who live this know. The greatest victory is not responding in kind. It is resting in the knowledge that true justice does not fail. It is not delayed. It does not deceive. When heaven decides to act, no one can hold it back. And the chosen ones know. What is theirs, hell cannot steal. That is why, even when wounded, they do not harden their hearts. They continue to believe. They continue to love. They remain steadfast, because they understand that their role is to stay faithful. The rest is up to God. 8. They serve in love, but do not accept being manipulated. The chosen ones have a generous soul. They serve with pleasure, not out of obligation. They enjoy helping, extending a hand, and resolving what no one else sees. They do this in silence, often without receiving anything in return. They do not serve for recognition, but out of love. However, this love is not naive. It is love with discernment. They are always available. Attentive ears, outstretched hands, open hearts. But that does not mean they accept everything, because the same spirit that moves them to serve also teaches them to recognize when they are being drained. They know the difference between being generous and being manipulated. In the beginning, they endure. They believe in the good. They give time. They pray. But when they realize that their kindness is being used as a tool of control, they do not react with shouts. They react with distance. They withdraw without hatred, but with firmness. Jesus gave us the greatest example of this. He washed the feet of even those who would betray him. But he also knew the right moment to be silent, to withdraw, and to say, "Enough." He never allowed compassion to nullify his mission, and the chosen ones follow that same principle. They understand that serving is an expression of love, but that love also has limits. When they realize that their time, energy, and hearts are being exploited, they make decisions guided by the Spirit. And many times, their no is more powerful than any confrontation. Many are shocked by the change, because they have gotten used to the constant yes, to the unconditional availability. But the chosen does not live to please. They live to obey God. And when the Spirit says, "Go stop," they stop. even if it hurts, even if their silence confuses others. They do not retaliate, do not seek revenge, do not expose, but they withdraw. The same heart that helped strongly now protects itself wisely. And those who took advantage feel the impact of the absence, because the presence of a chosen one is not common. It is spiritual covering. It is the presence of God. One who serves with love also needs to know how to guard themselves. And the chosen ones learn this over time. They understand that they were not called to please everyone, but to fulfill a purpose, and that this purpose requires clear limits so that the purity of serving does not turn into emotional imprisonment. That is why they continue loving, but from afar, praying, but without wearing themselves out. They do not harden, but they respect themselves, and that is also spiritual, because those who are called to heal cannot live wounded by people who only know how to drain. 9. They have peace in their eyes, but fire in their spirit. The chosen ones impress with their gaze. Those who observe them from afar see calmness. There is something serene in the way they move, how they speak, how they listen. They do not make a fuss. They do not seek the spotlight. And on the outside, they may even seem fragile, but inside they carry an unquenchable fire. This is one of the most mysterious marks of those who have been set apart by God. The spirit of the chosen burns within, a constant flame, fed in secret by the presence of God. Therefore, their peace should never be confused with weakness. Their calmness is not fear. It is preparation. The hearts of the chosen are aligned with heaven, and when heaven gives an order, they rise up with a strength that surprises even those who underestimated them the most. They are those who prefer not to retaliate, but pray until the enemy falls by themselves. Who prefer silence, but when they speak, something moves. Who prefer to serve, but when they need to fight, do not hesitate. The fire of the chosen is not noise. It is presence. It is spiritual power generated in secret, and the world may not understand, but hell respects it. Being chosen is to live all the time in that invisible place between kindness and power. It is to walk among people and be mistaken for someone ordinary, when in fact you carry something that came straight from heaven. A type of authority that does not need to assert itself because the presence already communicates. You love sincerely. You help out of compassion. You wait in silence, even when everything inside you is in motion. But do not think that this softness is weakness. It is the reflection of one who has been shaped from within in secret, with tears, prayer, and renunciation. The difference of the chosen one lies in how they react. They feel everything, but choose not to react in the flesh. They observe a lot, speak little. And when they speak, the spiritual world listens. Their words carry weight because they come from a place that is not emotional. They come from the Spirit. You do not shout, but your absence shouts. You do not take revenge, but you hand it over to God. You do not justify yourself, but time justifies for you. That is strength. And this strength is what frightens the enemy, because he knows that when you rise up, you do not come alone. Heaven comes with you. Each of the 9 reasons you have heard so far is not just a description. It is a reminder, a confirmation that you are not broken, not excessive nor abnormal. You are set apart. You are prepared. You are chosen. Your sensitivity is a gift. Your intuition is discernment. Your firmness is the result of a walk with God. And even when the world tries to push you back, heaven continues to pull you forward. Because your identity is in something that the world cannot erase. Being chosen is to continue loving, even after being hurt. It is to continue serving, even after being misunderstood. But it is also knowing when to stop, knowing when to step away, knowing how to say enough with peace, because you have learned to respect yourself without ceasing to be light. If this message spoke to your spirit, comment below. Now I understand the balance between my light and my firmness. And if you want to continue receiving words that confirm who you are, follow this channel right now. You are not alone. You have been set apart. You are being activated, and heaven will still use you powerfully.